In the old days, it used to take us 3 hours to finish the debate on Trinity. Now, 7 minutes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. And today we're paying tribute to all the good Muslim du'at, brothers and sisters from Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Malaysia. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. We're talking about thinking outside the box. And like I said in the introduction, in the old days, 3 hours back and forth, maybe with the missionaries before we finally end the issue of Trinity. Now with this new technique, within a few minutes, it's over with. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about getting people to think in a different way, to step out the box and see what's wrong with their way of thinking and their belief and so on and so forth. Let's explain it slowly. Let's start with this. Idol worship. Idol worship makes no sense, right? Someone has an idol that they built with their own hand, and then they keep providing it with food. When we were small children, like maybe 8 or 9 or 7 years old, we went to Thailand for vacation. And we used to see in front of every store and every business, hotel had a small statue. And they would put food in front of that statue. And then because it was summer and it was hot, the food would dry up. They would change it and take the dry food, put new food. Take the dry food, put new food. Sometimes multiple times per day. And as children, we used to laugh at them and say, don't they realize that he's not eating? Don't they see that he's never touched the food in his life? And how come they don't ask him? And how could they feed their own God? And we just kept laughing at them. Now, could it be that, a 7-year-old is more intelligent than a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old or a 30-year-old? It's not about intelligence. It's the simple fact that the 7-year-old was observing the incident from outside the box, and the person who's feeding the idol made of wood is within the box, and that's why they don't see what's wrong with it. So what do we mean by the box? What is the box? The box is the framework or frame of mind that they're in, and they're thinking within this frame of mind. If you could be able to take them outside of that box and have them take another look at what they're doing, they would see it the way me and you see it, that it doesn't make sense, that it's ridiculous to feed your own God, to create your own God, and multiple times change the food and things like that. There are many stories like this in Islamic history, but let's begin with one concerning Ibrahim alayhi salam in Surah Al-Anbiya. When you know the story, his people used to have the center of town where they had all the idols that they would worship, the little ones and then the big one. So they went out for a festival to celebrate. And in the meantime, Ibrahim alayhi salam, since he's alone now, he comes in and he destroys them. Destroys all the little ones completely. And he leaves the big one there. They come back. Who did this to our idols? We heard a young man called Ibrahim mention them, so they brought him. Who did this to our idols, ya Ibrahim? And he said, ask the big one. Ask the big one. And because it's saying the little ones collectively couldn't defend each other, the big one couldn't defend the little ones, and now the weakest thing, which is to complain, he can't even, while crying, tell you what happened. They got to realize that he's right. They don't do anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the next verse, فَرَجَعُوا إِلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ فَرَجَعُوا إِلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ They turned to themselves. Which means, according to some of the Mufassirin, Al-Qurtubi and Al-Sa'di, it meant that they blamed themselves, meaning they thought, yes, he's right. They don't move, they don't speak, they don't do anything, and now he can't even answer us and tell us what's going on. And it's true, other Mufassirin, they say it that they see it as if they blame themselves for leaving him alone with the idols. But either way, the point is that he's trying to get them to think outside the box, that they don't move, they don't do anything beneficial or harmful even, so how could you worship them? And he only did that by destroying them. This has happened before to the great companion Amr ibn al-Jamuh. He had the idol that first thing in the morning he'd wake up and go to it, and his children, 3 sons, had become Muslim, and they want him to realize this is a useless idol. So what do? While he's asleep, they took the idol and they threw it in the dump. He wakes up, looks everywhere for it, can't find it, and finally finds it in the dump with all the trash and everything. Brings it home and they narrate that he's angry and he's washing it and oiling it all over again, and he's saying, if I find the one who did this to you, I will do this to them and I'll do that to them. Then at night, he goes to sleep. His children take it again and throw it in the trash. He wakes up, takes it back from the trash, he's upset. Then that second night, he puts his sword, he hangs it over its neck, and he says, if they come to throw you in the trash tonight, defend yourself. Now, Amr ibn al-Jamuh radiallahu anhu was an intelligent man, and in his life, he's never seen this statue do anything. I mean, in his whole life, he's never seen this thing do so much as this. He's never seen it flinch, move, scratch. Why on earth would he think that it's going to remove the sword from its neck, unsheath it, and defend itself? It's never even scratched itself. Why would it remove a sword? Do you understand what's happening here? Like, it's so ridiculous to us, but he's inside the box. He doesn't see that it's ridiculous. Now, to get someone outside of the box, you need to get them to question and to look again at what they're doing. His children did that by this activity. So they stole it again and they threw it in the dump again, or some narrations they tied it to the body of a dead dog. He comes and he finds it there and he just leaves it there. He says, you can't protect yourself, you definitely can't protect me or do any good for me. And he walked away. This incident got him out of the box to realize this is ridiculous. If you want to just look at for what it's worth, the narration of Umar radiallahu anhu when he created the idol out of dates and he went on a journey and he kept eating it. Every time he would sincerely apologize and excuse himself that I need to eat your leg, I need to eat your other leg, your arm, your other arm, your torso. So sorry, but I need to eat your head. This story later on used to make him laugh. Why? At the time of the story, he feels bad and he's apologetic. Later on, he's laughing because he's outside the box. He sees what's ridiculous about it. And that's exactly what your job is. You're trying to get people to step outside of the box. I want to liken this to when you were in school, for example, and the teacher made you write something on the board. So while you're writing on the board, you're like, I'm doing a good job. When you sit back in your chair, you look at what you wrote, and it's slanting. Your sentence was slanting. You couldn't see it because you were up close. But when you step back, you could see that it was slanting. Same thing with art and paintings. They teach you to step away from your artwork or your painting to get another look at it. Then you come in again for work. So you want people to step back to realize and to see what's wrong with what they're doing. We're going to take examples concerning the Trinity, because the Trinity, whether people believe in it strongly or not, it's another issue. And there are people who believe in it very strongly. I met someone who is, alhamdulillah, Muslim now, and he used to say, I used to believe in the existence of the Trinity just like I knew the sun was out and it's going to come out tomorrow. I was so sure of it. But no matter how sure people are of the Trinity, they don't understand and cannot fathom and comprehend this concept. So one of the ways to get them to realize that this is a concept that makes absolutely no sense is to get them to step outside of the box. And you do that by asking questions about the Trinity that get them to think. And so many times we would sit down, and when we're about to start a discussion about the Trinity, the first thing we'd say, okay, can you explain to me how the Trinity works? And the person will tell you something like, well, if they're honest, they'll bring it from the end. Well, we're not really exactly sure. No one can really completely understand the Trinity. And that's a low point. If you remember that episode, high point, low point. So now this is a low point. So then you tell them, look, why would God reveal something that you cannot understand and link it to your salvation? That the only way to be saved is to believe something that you cannot understand as a human being. That's not fair, is it? And that's why one priest was telling me that the one that is more intellectually satisfying, the explanation that's more satisfying, is the Islamic explanation. And he admitted like that. Now, so that's one question. Other questions we like to start with. Is the Trinity 1 in 3 or 3 in 1? And we sat down one time with 5 missionaries, and they teach Bible study, 5 of them. First question was this: is the Trinity 1 in 3 or 3 in 1? And even now as a viewer, and you know as a da'i, the answer came to you very quickly. The Trinity, as they claim, is 3 in 1. But this group kept thinking about it. And we let them take their time. We just stayed quiet and they kept thinking about it. And they kept thinking about it. And in the end, they couldn't find an answer, so we had to give it to them. We said, obviously, you believe it's 3 and 1, because if you say it's 1 and 3, you're admitting to worshiping 3 different gods. And immediately they are, yes, that's of course, yes. Well, but why did it take him so long to think about that? Because they never heard this before. They were going through it in their mind. What does it mean? 1 and 3, 3. They were just going over it in their mind. So that was the first thing. Now we're getting them to think about this concept in a different light. Look, with all due respect, in the old days we used to do chapter this, verse that, Luke chapter this, verse that, Matthew chapter this, verse that. But then, and then we keep going back and forth. But now what we do, it's not about discussing it in detail. It's about, why would you believe in something like this? That 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1. Okay, then 1 dies for 3 days. How many are there during this period? 1 plus 1, also 1. All right, that's the problem. I'm not going to go into details on this issue. This issue is problematic, so we discuss the concept like that. And when they start to see what's wrong with it, then it starts to get them to step outside the box, and they realize what's wrong with their belief system. And you can do this with the polytheist, and you can do this with the person who believes in Trinity, or anyone who believes in more than one God. And inshallah, in the next episode, we're going to look at it as it relates to the polytheist. And it's very, very effective, inshallah. Again, try this technique, get people to see what's wrong with their behavior or their belief system. Just like the man in the rat temple, he believes the rats are reincarnated. He thinks he's doing something holy, but you just see a man with rats on his head. How can I get him to step outside of his box so he can see he's just a man with rats on his head? Sallallahu barak ala Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.